Hello there, Stevos, and welcome along to this week's episode of Steve's Movie Wrap-Up right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. I don't think this has ever happened before, but in the space of a week, somehow or other, I managed to watch about 20 movies. I don't know how that's possible. Some of them, I think 2 of them are movies in the cinema. There's a couple of new ones as well that I've seen this week, and there's been a couple of re-watches of some classic films as well that I've loved watching over the years that I've just decided to re-watch this week as well, which I will talk about at the end of this week's episode of the Movie Wrap-Up. So, without further ado, there's only one thing left to do for this week's Movie Wrap-Up, and that is to roll the titles, and let's see what movies I've been watching and reviewing this week.
You're watching Steve's Movie Wrap-Up, episode 54, right here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. The first movie you'll be reviewing in this video is My Old Arse.
My Old Arse, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd, and an 18th birthday mushroom trip brings free-spirited Elliot face-to-face with her wisecracking 39-year-old self. But when Elliot's old arse starts handing out warnings about what her younger self should and shouldn't do, Elliot realises she has to rethink everything about family, love, and what's becoming a transformative summer. Megan Park directs the movie titled My Old Arse, which is funny because that feels like something I will be saying about my old arse in a few years' time when I hit the age of 30. But anyways, the movie does star Aubrey Plaza, and you know what? I did find this movie to be surprisingly really good. This film itself does have a running time of just 1 hour and 29 minutes, and it doesn't outstay its welcome. It keeps me interested and engaged throughout as well, and there are some moments in this film that I think viewers who give this one a watch for themselves will take away and will probably remember for a really long time. Honestly, I have about another 11 years until I myself turn the age of 39, which is the age that Aubrey Plaza's character Elliot, the older version of Elliot that is, plays in the film. And that is a scary thought for me, that in 11 years' time I will be 39 years old, but I can tell you now, I would definitely at that point in my life would love to go back and revisit my 18-year-old self so that I can warn them of certain things that may happen or may not happen in my life, so that the 18-year-old me won't have to experience it. But then again, if I didn't go through what I have been through in my life so far, then I guess I wouldn't be the person that I am today. I wouldn't be the strong person that I am today for sure. Anyways, I know this review just seems to be more on a personal level, but this movie felt quite personal to me, especially while watching it. It does make you question, like, what would you do if right now you met your 18-year-old self again? What advice would you give them? What would you warn them about? What events would you also tell them about that might happen at one point in their life that has already happened but hasn't happened to them so far? I did think that the performances that the actors and actresses gave in this movie were decent. They also balanced out the comedy elements really well, alongside all the emotional stuff as well. And I thought that the music scoring was done rather beautifully throughout when the music was used in the movie. But My Old Arse is available to stream over on Amazon Prime Video right now. Brothers, I gave 2 stars over on Letterboxd. Reformed criminal's attempt at going straight is derailed when he reunites with his sanity-testing twin brother on a road trip for the score of a lifetime. Dodging bullets, the law, and an overbearing mother along the way, they must heal their severed family bond before they end up killing each other. When you have such a stacked cast in a movie like Brothers, with the likes of Peter Dinklage and Josh Brolin, Glenn Close and Brendan Fraser, you would think that the movie would be great and the comedy in this would be brilliant, but there is a reason why I have given this movie a 2-star rating over on Letterboxd, and that is because while the actors and actresses involved in this movie did a decent job with the roles that they were given in this movie, but I just feel as though this movie is going to be rather forgettable. If someone asked me right now what was my favourite part from the film, I honestly won't be able to tell you, because while writing this review, I have already forgotten half of the scenes that took place in this movie. The script and dialogue just feels rather bland and boring. After seeing the trailer to this movie earlier this year, I really did think this movie was going to be genuinely funny and maybe a little fun. And while there are some action sequences in here which some may enjoy, but the comedy for me just felt rather forced. I am so glad that this movie was only just 90 minutes / 1 hour and 30 minutes long, because I feel as though if this movie was any longer, I think I would have switched it off halfway. Is this a movie I would recommend people to watch? Well, if you're interested in giving this a watch, then sure, check it out. But maybe like me, it will be one of those movies you will have on in the background and maybe can appreciate the once and once only and won't watch it again. Because is this a movie I can see me revisiting and rewatching again? I don't think it will be, to be honest. But Brothers is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video globally. Breathe, I gave 2 stars over on Letterboxd. An air supply is scarce in the near future, forcing a mother and daughter to fight for survival when 2 strangers arrive desperate for an oxygenated haven. Stefan Bristol directed the movie Breathe. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a few times that I have enjoyed apocalyptic science fiction movies or dystopian science fiction movies, but when it came to the movie Breathe, as much as I wanted to enjoy this, I sadly couldn't, which is rather unfortunate. I didn't even know that this movie existed until a couple of months ago when this movie flagged up on my Prime Video account. The movie does have a running time of just 93 minutes / 1 hour and 33 minutes, so it is rather short, a short movie for people to put on, especially if you do enjoy the science fiction genre when it comes to watching movies. But the script dialogue in this movie was rather bad, to be honest. I wanted to like the characters, but I just felt as though the bad writing in this got in the way for me to like any of the characters involved in the film. Breathe does star Jennifer Hudson, which does surprise me because just like Lady Gaga, in almost every film I have seen Jennifer Hudson star in, she tends to sing in every movie, but in this one there is no musical number in sight. Can I also say, while we are on the subject of music, I feel as though the music scoring in Breathe kind of felt all over the place and sometimes felt rather out of place in the movie as well. I don't know, it was just the vibe that I was getting from this film. What I will say that I do appreciate, and the reason why I have given the movie 2 stars on Letterboxd, is the fact that the actors and actresses did the best they could with the roles that they were in within the film, and some of the set designs within this movie were also fairly good to make it believable that we, the audience, were in this apocalyptic world with these characters. Will this be a film I can see myself revisiting and rewatching again? Sadly, I don't think so. But I am at the same time glad to have seen this, even if it's just the once and once only that I watch this. And would I recommend this to people to watch? Well, it wouldn't harm anyone to watch this if you're into the science fiction genre when it comes to movies. Then sure, give it a go, because you might get some enjoyment and may have a different opinion to what I have on the film. But you may also find that you might only see this movie the once and once only. But Breathe is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video globally.
Anora,
I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Anora, a young sex worker from Brooklyn, gets her chance at a Cinderella story when she meets and impulsively marries the son of an oligarch. Once the news reaches Russia, her fairy tale is threatened as the parents set out for New York to get the marriage annulled. Anora is a movie which is directed by Sean Baker, and I'm going to be honest, it does seem to be doing well at the box office at the moment at the time of doing this review. I think from what I have read, this is Sean Baker's highest grossing movie that he has directed in his career so far. The movie does star Mikey Madison playing the titular role of Anora, or as the character likes to go by the name of Annie. The first shot of this movie, the opening shot of this movie, literally starts off with naked ladies on top of these guys who are having the time of their lives by looks of things, as Anora is an escort working in a club as a young sex worker. There is also a lot of sex scenes at the beginning of the movie too, which did start to make me question whether I should continue with watching this movie. But after about 20 minutes of continuous nudity scenes and sex scenes, those scenes managed to stop, which I was grateful for. I don't have a problem with nudity or sex scenes happening in movies, but when they are overdone or overused, then for me, I start to switch off and become less interested in the film or TV show that I'm watching. I want to take a minute to appreciate and applaud Mikey Madsen's acting in this movie, as I think she is an absolute star in the movie. She owns the role, she takes the character of Honora and makes it her own, and you do in a way start to feel a little sorry for Honora by the end of the film. Now, there is a couple of songs that are used in this movie, including a remix version of Take That's Greatest Day song, which I felt as though was just slightly overused. It was used at the beginning of the film, then brought back again later on in the film, and at that point it just felt a little overused. However, though, this the other thing I can say in this movie doesn't have any kind of music scoring whatsoever. It doesn't add music to create tension or anything like that. The only time we hear music in this movie is genuinely when the characters involved are out partying the night away. The movie does come with a running time of 2 hours and 19 minutes, and while I didn't so much enjoy watching the first 20 minutes of the film, but I did enjoy watching the rest of the film, I love the fact that as the credits rolled on this film, there was no music to accompany those credits while they were rolling on screen at the end. So you was literally leaving your cinema seat in total dead silence, which kind of feels weird. I love the fact that Sean Baker saw Mikey Madsen in Scream 2022, Scream 5, playing one of the Ghostface killers in the form of Amber, and he loved her performance in that movie so much that he wanted to cast her in this movie. I think that is such an awesome story, to be fair. Though I did enjoy her in Scream 2022, and I also enjoyed her in Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And fun fact about both of those films is that her character in both films got set on fire. Did Honora get set on fire in this film? No, she didn't. I bet Mikey was glad to be playing a character who wasn't going to be set on fire for once. Is Honora a movie that I think I will happily rewatch again in the future? Yeah, I do think so, as I did enjoy the story behind the movie. Is this a movie I would recommend people to watch? While the sex scenes and nudity might get a bit too much for some people, but I would say away from that, then yeah, I would still definitely say go and see this movie. The cinematography this film does offer is also really good as well, which is another thing I can appreciate for the movie for. And is this a movie that I can see me buying and keeping on digital when this film hits digital platforms in the future? I do reckon so, but Honora is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide.
Red 1.
So the next film I've seen this week is Red 1, which I gave 2 stars on Letterboxd. After Santa Claus, codename Red 1, is kidnapped, the North Pole's head of security must team up with the world's most infamous bounty hunter in a globe-trotting, action-packed mission to save Christmas. Red 1 has a budget of $250 million, and I don't think, to be honest, that this movie is going to get its money back at the box office. The movie opened in America with $34 million on opening weekend. Also, this movie has had a really bad reviews from critics, despite the all-star cast in the film. Red 1 stars Dwayne Johnson, J.K. Simmons and Chris Evans. The film does have a running time of just slightly over 2 hours, and for me, the film just felt like a rather long drag for me, unfortunately, to the point where throughout the film I was checking my phone to see how long was left of the film, and for me, when that happens, it's never a good sign that a movie is doing rather well. The film does know what it wants to be. The film doesn't know what it wants to be, sorry. Does it want to be an action movie? Does it want to be a comedy movie? Does it want to be a Christmas movie? Also, is this a movie that the family can sit and watch? Is this a film for just adults to watch? The reason I asked for those last 2 questions is because the fact that there is a few expletive words that the characters say throughout the movie, or there is times that it is implied that the character is about to say an expletive word. As for the villain in this movie, I think it is one of the worst and one of the weakest villains that I have seen in a movie in a really long time. Also, she just didn't feel like a threat at all in the movie, to be quite honest. Even the actress that played the villain, the Christmas Witch, didn't do a great job at being frightening or threatening in any way. Also, going back to the question as to whether this would be classed as a comedy movie, I really don't think so, as the comedy in this kind of felt rather forced. I didn't think there was any scenes in this film that I laughed or sniggered at, and I don't think from the reaction of the other cinema goers, I don't think they found this movie to be rather comedic or funny in any way either. As for why I have given this movie 2 stars on Letterboxd, maybe I am rating this movie too generously here, but I can appreciate the movie for what it was trying to achieve. It was trying to be a Christmas movie that people would watch every holiday season, but sadly for me, I don't think I can see me watching this movie again. While I appreciate the movie for what it was trying to do, but I just can't see me checking this one out again. Is this a movie I think I will be able to remember? I don't think so, to be honest. At the time of doing this review, actually, I'm actually starting to forget what even happened in the film. Also, the CGI in this movie seemed to be rather off and poorly edited at times. Not so much with the creatures that the characters come face to face with throughout the film, but it's the CGI that is done within the fight scenes we see throughout the movie. But Red One is now showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide.
Jeff Dunham's Scrooged Up Holiday Special.
Jeff Dunham's Scrooged Up Holiday Special, I gave 3 stars on Letterboxd. Jeff Dunham tries to recreate the beloved holiday story, A Christmas Carol, with his iconic characters in the classic roles. Walter is obvious. There's only one man who can play Scrooge, but when Jeff assigns Bubba J, Peanut, Little Jeff, and Ahmed their thespian parts, they don't quite agree, and his plan spins hilariously out of control. I absolutely love Jeff Dunham. He is a very talented ventriloquist act with the dolls that he has and the roles he plays. I first discovered him many years ago when I watched videos of him using Ahmed, the dead terrorist, in one of his shows he did. Ahmed has this very famous catchphrase, which is "Silence, I kill you," and every time he says that now iconic line, it always cracks me up every time I see it or hear him say that. I am glad I have seen this 1 hour comedy show. This might not be a movie as such, but I still had a great time with this, and I did laugh at quite a few of the jokes told in here, especially when it came to the part featuring Ahmed as well. Is this something I would recommend? If you're looking for something to laugh at during this holiday season, then I would say for sure check this 1 hour special out, because there will be some jokes in here that I do think you will get a laugh out of. But Jeff Dunham's Scrooged Up Holiday Special is now streaming on Amazon Prime Video globally.
Paddington.
Paddington, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. A young Peruvian bear travels to London in search of a new home. Finding himself lost and alone at Paddington Station, he meets the kindly Brown family. Hugh Bonneville, Madeline Harris, Nicole Kidman, Peter Capaldi, Ben Whishaw, Matt Lucas, Sally Hawkins, Jim Broadbent, and so many more British talent stars in this movie called Paddington, a film that was released over 10 years ago in 2014, a film that I have never seen before until now. So, what did I think of the movie Paddington? I actually really enjoyed Paddington a lot. I am glad to have seen it, and it does feel like one of those great family-friendly movies you could put on to escape the real world. The movie does have a running time of 1 hour and 35 minutes, so it doesn't outstay its welcome, and we are basically seeing the origins of Paddington meet the family who he stays with, who gives him a home, who happens to live in London, and there are some mad mishaps that happen when Paddington arrives in their home, including ruining the bathroom. It seems as though wherever Paddington goes, trouble soon follows him, and that is also what I like about this movie. The characters seem to have a lot of fun with this bear. Nicole Kidman as the villain in this was also pretty decent. I thought the acting in this from all the supporting cast members of Paddington I thought was rather good as well. Is this a movie worth checking out if you've never seen it before? For sure, I definitely do think so. Is this a movie I could see me revisiting and rewatching again in the future? I do definitely think so. Paddington is available to buy and rent on digital platforms and is now streaming on Netflix here in the UK.
Paddington 2.
Paddington 2 is the next movie I've seen this week, which I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Paddington, now happily settled with the Browns, picks up a series of odd jobs to buy the perfect present for his Aunt Lucy, but it is stolen. Paddington 2 sees the return of cast members Ben Whishaw, who is the voice behind Paddington Bear, Hugh Bonneville, Sally Hawkins, Peter Capaldi, Madeline Harris and other supporting cast members from the first movie are back in their roles for a second helping of Paddington. Meanwhile, Joanna Lumley, Ben Miller and Hugh Grant are all new to the franchise as they star in the sequel to 2014's Paddington. So what did I think of Paddington 2? Well, just like the first movie, I did actually enjoy watching the sequel a lot. It's weird when it comes to movies because the sequels aren't always the greatest, and it's always the original that ends up being better than the sequel. But for me, I can't choose possibly which is better out of the two Paddington movies I have seen so far. And while I have now caught up on both Paddington movies before seeing Paddington in Peru, which at the time of doing this review is currently showing in cinemas and theatres worldwide, it's very hard for me to say which one I do prefer because they both have great comedic elements. The movie does have a lot of charm and charisma to them as well. Can we also talk about Hugh Grant for a second, because he plays the villain in this movie, and after seeing him in the movie Heretic a couple of weeks back, I would definitely love to see him play a lot more sinister roles. There are certain aspects to his character within Paddington 2 that reminded me actually of his character of Mr. Reed in Heretic. Maybe his character in Paddington 2 is the twin to Mr. Reed in Heretic. Who knows? I also love the scene at the beginning of the film where Paddington is in the barber's shop and is about to shave some hair off this customer. As he grabs the razor, he starts vibrating along with the razor, and it makes me laugh so much. Also the scene with the red sock in the washing machine turning all the prisoners' clothes pink also gets a chuckle out of me too. I said it in my review for Paddington, and I will say it again in my review for Paddington 2, but wherever Paddington goes, trouble isn't far behind him, or destruction isn't far behind him. Is Paddington 2 a movie I would recommend people to watch? Most certainly it is, for sure. I really did enjoy this one, and it does come with a slightly longer running time of 1 hour and 43 minutes, but it doesn't outstay its welcome. I think this is another solid movie that all the family can enjoy, no matter the age. But Paddington 2 is available to buy and rent on digital platforms, and is also streaming here in the UK on Netflix.
The Girls Aloud Show live at the O2.
The Girls Aloud Show live at the O2, I gave 4 stars over on Letterboxd. Confetti showers, flying motorbikes, multiple costume changes, pyrotechnics, and hit after glorious hit, Girls Aloud performed to crowds of thousands as they take the show on a tour of 30 dates across the UK and Ireland. Celebrating over 20 years of chart-topping success, they perform a high-octane set that includes Love Machine, Biology, Something Kinda Ooh, I'll Stand By You, and the song that started it all, Sound of the Underground. Shot entirely in 4K, it's an unforgettable, pop-tastic journey through their record-breaking career, made all the more poignant by emotional moments that pay tribute to their late bandmate Sarah Harding. In the words of the band themselves, it's a celebration of Sarah, our music, and our incredible fans, and one that captivates and honours the enduring legacy of one of pop's most loved groups ever. I really did enjoy this show. I watched the extended full concert, which lasted 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I enjoyed every minute. The band does stun on the stage as they perform some of their iconic hits that they have released over the years, especially the songs that I used to hear on the radio all the time as a kid. And as I revisit those songs from time to time on Apple Music when I'm in the mood to listen to Girls Aloud, it instantly gives me the nostalgia from my childhood. They even did pay tribute in such a heartfelt but yet beautiful way to Sarah Harding, a former bandmate of theirs who sadly lost her life to battling cancer. Even the audience who were in attendance at the concert had tears rolling down their face as they saw Sarah on the big screens on stage and singing certain sections of a song. Did I enjoy this concert? I did. And would I recommend other people to watch this concert? If you like Girls Aloud, then sure, give this a watch. I will be honest though, I do fancy the pants off Cheryl and Nicola from Girls Aloud, so seeing them on screen at the same time, looking really stunning, honestly, that made the concert for me. But the Girls Aloud show live at the O2 is streaming on streaming service ITVX here in the UK.
Buy Now the Shopping Conspiracy.
Buy Now the Shopping Conspiracy I gave 2 stars on Letterboxd. The subversive documentary unpacks the tricks brands use to keep their customers consuming and the real impact they have on our lives and the world. While this documentary can be somewhat interesting, showing us the shopping habits we have and how consumers consume their audience, but this is also a rather bizarre and weird documentary as it tends to use generative AI as well, which is such a scary thought, to be honest. There is even a point where the generative AI narrator in this documentary says, "Cut to a plastic bag," and it cuts to a plastic bag with a smiley face on it. Yeah, this is a rather weird documentary, I guess, but it does in a way inform and try to get somewhat its point across as to what consumers do to help keep their businesses going and how they draw us, the shoppers, to their businesses, especially when it comes to things like Amazon or eBay and Apple and many other technological companies out there. Will this be a documentary I would happily recommend for people to watch? While it can be interesting to see, just bear in mind that generative AI is narrating this documentary, which to me is just rather weird and rather odd. The documentary does come with a running time of 1 hour and 24 minutes. Buy Now the Shopping and Conspiracy documentary is now streaming on the streaming service Netflix around the world.
Disney 100 A Century of Dreams, a 2020 special edition.
Disney 100 A Century of Dreams, a special edition of 2020. I gave 3 stars on Letterboxd. Commemorating the 100th anniversary of the entertainment company with interviews, rare footage and photos and never before heard stories from those who built the Disney legend. A look inside Disney's newest attraction. This documentary has been streaming on Disney Plus for over a year now, and it has taken me until now to watch this documentary, which looked back at the last 100 years of Disney, which Disney celebrated in 2023. And I will say this is an interesting watch for any Disney fan out there, as this documentary takes us on a journey of the last 100 years of Disney, looking back at the highs and lows of Disney as a company, as well as the theme parks as well, which Disney have all around the world. It shows some clips from Disney's most notable and iconic animations, such as The Lion King, Moana, Wish, 101 Dalmatians, Mary Poppins, The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Mulan, and also how it all started with Mickey Mouse, also known as Steamboat Willie, when Mickey Mouse first appeared in an animated short in 1928. The documentary does have a running time of 1 hour and 19 minutes, and for me there will be something in here that I think Disney fans will learn about that they may have never known about before. But Disney 100 A Century of Dreams, a special edition of 2020, is now streaming on Disney Plus worldwide.
Queen Rock Montreal.
Queen Rock Montreal, or also as it's known as We Will Rock You, I gave 4.5 stars over on Letterboxd. In November 1981, and with Under Pressure topping the charts in the UK, Queen performed a blistering set of hits, including We Will Rock You and Bohemian Rhapsody, in front of an 18,000 strong crowd at Montreal's Forum in this stunning concert film. Absolutely enjoyed this concert movie of Queen. Freddie Mercury was such an iconic singer, not just for the albums of Queen, but even seeing him perform on stage, singing all the Queen classics that we, the people, know all around the world. he sounds almost exactly the same on stage in concert as he does on the albums, and I think he has such a powerhouse of a voice. It is so sad that we lost him when we did, because if he was still in Queen today, who are still making music today, who are still touring today as well, I think he would still would have had a powerhouse of a singing voice than he did in the 80s when this concert took place. This concert movie was released earlier this year over on Disney Plus, so I have added this to my movies in 2024 list over on Letterboxd. I really did enjoy this one a lot. But Queen Rock Montreal is now streaming over on Disney Plus globally.
The greatest hits.
The greatest hits, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Harriet finds art imitating life when she discovers certain songs that can transport her back in time, literally. While she relives the past through romantic memories of her former boyfriend, her time-travelling collides with a burgeoning new love interest in the present as she takes her journey through the hypnotic connection between music and memory. She wonders, even if she could change the past, should she? I had a lot of fun with this film, with some songs that instantly take you back. Honestly, just imagine if listening to certain songs could actually transport us back in time or allow us to travel back in time. Can you imagine all those favourite moments of our lives we can go back to if we listen to a certain song that could take us back to that specific moment in time? I would be listening to music so much more and travelling back in time to certain parts of my life where I would listen to a certain song on repeat and go and live that specific time of my life. I remember seeing this trailer for this movie earlier this year, so I have had this on the watch list for quite a while now, so I am glad to have finally got around to seeing this movie when I did. I thought the cast members in this were great. I also like how all the characters were rather likeable in this movie as well. The movie does come with a running time of 1 hour and 35 minutes, and for me, I really did enjoy this movie a lot. Is this a movie I can see me watching again in the future? Yeah, I do think so. And is this a movie I can see me recommending to people to watch? I think so. Especially if you're a fan of music and maybe a little bit of romance in the movie as well, then sure, check this one out. But the greatest hits is now streaming over on Disney Plus globally.
The Outrun.
The Outrun, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Fresh out of rehab, Rona returns to the Orkney Islands, a place both wild and beautiful right off the Scottish coast. Now 29 and after more than a decade of living life on the edge in London, where she both found and lost love, Rona attempts to come to terms with her troubled past as she reconnects with the dramatic landscape where she grew up. Memories of her traumatic childhood merge with more recent challenging events that have set her on the path to recovery. The Outrun is a movie that I've actually wanted to check out for a while. It did sadly just a couple of months back here have a very limited theatrical run here in the UK, but it did soon very quickly hit digital platforms, and I have heard nothing but really positive reviews for this one. So what did I think of The Outrun? Well, I really did enjoy this movie a lot. It does have a serious tone to the film. It is more of a drama-based movie, so it's a little unusual for me to sit down and watch a drama-based film. But for me, though, The Outrun was a decent movie. It was well crafted, I thought. Really well put together, really well acted, and also there are some decent shots in here in terms of cinematography, which I did enjoy, especially those underwater scenes at the beginning of the movie. Saoirse Ronan is the outstanding performer in this movie. I definitely do think she should be nominated for an Oscar for her performance in this movie. I think she played the part of a troubled character, Rona, really well. And she appears in basically every scene of this movie. The actress has definitely come a very long way with her acting, and I do feel as though her performance does get stronger and stronger in every new movie I see her appear in. The Outrun does come with a running time of 1 hour and 57 minutes, and for me, I did enjoy watching every second of this movie. It does deal with alcoholism and what that can do when it comes to your relationship with loved ones, including your partner, your friends, and your family members, and it also delves into Rona's family and the medical problems that her family have as well, and the trauma that Rona faced when she was a young child as well. is the Outrun worth giving a watch? I definitely do think so. And is this a movie that I can see me going back to and rewatching again in the future? Again, I do think so, to be honest, as I did enjoy watching this movie. So I think this is one of those movies I can see me buying and keeping on digital platforms in the near future as well. But the Outrun is now available to buy and rent on digital platforms right now.
We Live in Time.
We Live in Time, I gave 3.5 stars over on Letterboxd. An up and coming chef and a recent divorcee find their lives forever changed when a chance encounter brings them together in a decade-spanning, deeply moving romance. This was a really heartwarming, heartbreaking, and kind of a wholesome movie to watch. We Live in Time, I feel as though, is one of the best movies I have seen in 2024. And while maybe it does deserve a higher star rating than I have given it, it does have a little issue that I do have to complain about, which I will speak about in a few moments in this review. But Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield play the two main leads in this movie, and I thought they did their characters justice. I thought their performances in this were great, and both actors brought so much emotion to the story that was told within the movie. We Live in Time does have a running time of 1 hour and 47 minutes, and I really did enjoy this movie a lot. Also, the music scoring that was composed to go alongside this movie was done in such a beautiful way, and also brought the emotion to the story as well. I thought some of the themes in this movie was also handled really well as well within the story. The issue that I did have with the movie for me was that throughout the story it seemed a little choppy, as in the story was a little all over the place as to how the two main characters first met and stuff like that. So the timeline does seem to be all over the place, which is unfortunate and a little confusing. Had they have told the story in a more straightforward way in this case, then this movie I feel as though would have had a much more higher star rating than I have given it.
Scary Movie.
And finally, this week, time for me to go back and revisit a classic franchise in the form of Scary Movie. So, Scary Movie 1, I gave 3 stars over on Letterboxd. I rewatched Scary Movie because it's a classic horror comedy, and there's still moments in this movie that makes me laugh to this day. Just love the fact that this parodies Scream for the majority of the movie, with some moments from another iconic horror movie titled I Know What You Did Last Summer. Anna Faris is great in this movie as well. The film obviously never takes itself too seriously at all. It knows it's a comedy. We know that it's a comedy, but I do still love this movie 24 years after its original release, which is rather funny because I was never into horror movies 24 years ago.
Scary Movie 2.
Scary Movie 2, I gave 3 stars on Letterboxd. This should in theory get a 5-star rating for me, because this is one of the first horror comedies that I was introduced to when I was younger. The opening act, which parodies another iconic horror movie in the form of The Exorcist. That movie's opening scene traumatized me as a kid, seeing the girl with her head turning 360 degrees. That was the part that really freaked me out and screamed the house down when I was younger. I even had nightmares of the girl in Scary Movie 2, where she was falling from somewhere and her head came off her body. I'm not even kidding. I still remember that nightmare to this day. But that being said though, now I'm a lot older and wiser, and I know that all of it is just fake, unless they found a really talented actress that can literally turn her head 360 degrees. I laugh at that opening scene because it's so damn funny. Once again, Scary Movie 2, just like the first one, never takes itself too seriously. It knows it's a horror comedy, and we know the audience are watching a horror comedy, so never take this one too seriously at all. I do enjoy revisiting this movie from time to time alongside the rest of the scary movies in the franchise. Also, can we just briefly talk about the butler in the haunted house with the good hand? Like, what the hell? Honestly, I would definitely not like to be served food by him and his good hand at all. I also found the scene with the clown under the bed really funny and comedic, as well as the clown tried to act all scary in one scene. but then got what he wasn't expecting at the end of the scene, which I always find is funny.
Scary Movie 3.
Scary Movie 3, I gave 2.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Scary Movie 3 is the third movie in the Scary Movie franchise, and I will say that despite seeing this movie before a couple of times in the past, in fact, I still find this movie rather funny. We have Regina Hall and Anna Faris, who return back to the franchise again, alongside Charlie Sheen, who makes his debut in the movie franchise. Simon Cowell also makes a cameo appearance in a scene which I found really funny. Queen Latifah is also in the film, alongside Kevin Hart, and Pamela Anderson also stars in the movie as well. Scary Movie 3 parodies another horror movie that has become iconic over the years in the form of The Ring. I absolutely love the scene where the girl comes out of the TV like it happens in the Ring movie and then starts to fight Brenda, played by Regina Hall. Cindy Campbell, played by Anna Faris, is now a TV news reporter looking into the case of a crop field that has been attacked, and also helping the president save the world from aliens as well. I did enjoy watching this movie, but part of me does wonder whether, as the franchise does start to go on though, whether it does start to lose its touch a little bit. But I do still enjoy watching this movie within the Scary Movie franchise. Once again, like the previous two entries within the franchise, the movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows it's parodying other horror movies from recent years, and us, the audience, knows what the film is trying to achieve as well, in terms of keeping us entertained throughout 1 hour and 26 minutes running time. And I think it's safe to say that it does its best to make the audience laugh out loud at the comedy that it does provide.
Scary Movie 4.
Scary Movie 4, I gave 2 stars on Letterboxd. Anthony Anderson, Leslie Nielsen, Anna Faris, Regina Hall and Kevin Hart all return to the franchise once again, while Charlie Sheen makes a brief cameo appearance at the beginning of the movie. Scary Movie 4 once again parodies some iconic horror movies from over the years in the form of The Grudge and Saw. I'm not too sure if it does... if it also does cover something along the lines of War of the Worlds, because those tripods machines looked like something out of War of the Worlds. I did love the opening act where it does parody Saw between Dr. Phil and a basketball player as well. And I love the fact that later on in the film they... continue the Saw parody with Billy the Puppet. There are some comedic elements in this movie which I did enjoy, but I do feel as though there were moments of this film where it kind of lost its spark a little. I know it does try its best to keep the jokes running and keep them fresh as best as possible. Again, Anna Faris and Regina Hall are pretty decent in the movie, I would say. It does come with a running time of just 1 hour and 26 minutes, so it's not too long of a movie. But then again, like I have said with the other Scary movies in the franchise, it knows it doesn't take itself too seriously, and we the audience knows that it's just parodying from other horrors, so we know not to take the movie too seriously as well.
Scary Movie 5.
And finally this week, to end on a bit of a negative and sour note, I rewatched Scary Movie 5, which I gave 1 star over on Letterboxd. I think I might have seen Scary Movie 5 once or twice before, whereas the rest of the franchise I have seen maybe 3 or 4 times beforehand. But Scary Movie 5 is by far the weakest movie in the Scary Movie franchise. It does parody Paranormal Activity and Black Swan for the majority of the movie. There's also a reference earlier on in the movie to The Cabin in the Woods as well, but to be honest, this is still the weakest movie in the franchise. Charlie Sheen once again makes a brief cameo appearance like he did in the 4th one, this time appearing in the opening scene of the movie alongside Lindsay Lohan, which is rather funny, to be honest, especially the jokes used at the beginning I thought was rather funny. We also have Snoop Dogg in this movie, as well as Ashley Tisdale as well, but unfortunately, unlike the first 4 movies, we don't have stars Regina Hall or Anna Faris in the movies, which is a shame. For me, I kind of felt bored throughout the movie, and the jokes didn't land as great as they do in the first 4 films. I think at this point they knew they needed to stop making movies in the franchise, as it was starting to go stale. However, as we all know, They're making a Scary Movie 6 due for release in 2026, and it's been 13 years at that point since they last did parodies on any horror movies, and there has been some iconic horrors that they can now parody in their 6th installment in the franchise when that releases in 2026. And that is all the movies that I have watched this past week. Literally, that's 20 movies that I've watched there. Listen, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what movies you've been watching, whether it's old, new, cinema, streaming, VHS, Blu-ray, DVD. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys have been watching this week. And as always, feel free to like the video. And if you are new around here and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button down below to become a Stevo. I'll be back with a weekly vlog that will be uploaded to my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial, at 4 PM UK time on Monday, the 25th of November 2024. But until then, though, it's goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you guys again in my next YouTube video.